Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a unit review video. If you don't know what this is the series where you guys send me your best Genshin Impact units and I rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 to determine who has the best Genshin Impact unit. Before we get into that though, if you would like an opportunity to get your own unit reviewed, all you have to do is go to my Discord, link in the description below. There is a channel in the Discord that is titled #UnitReview. In that channel will be instructions on how you can submit your own character for review. With that all wrapped up, let's get into the video. First up here we have Dayflower, and they wanted me to review their Raiden Shogun. Level 90 Raiden, 1300 attack, 63 EM, 21k max HP, a little low on the attack. What's the weapon? The catch. That makes sense if you're running the catch, not the highest base attack weapon in the game. And you also grinded out all the fish, which I'm sure was just a joy to do. You got the 4-piece emblem, great stuff. Constellation 0, and 10, 7, 1 on the talents, which is actually pretty good. The fact that you crowned her burst is pretty good. Although, if you want to get the perfect Raiden Shogun, I guess you would 10 the E as well. Obviously, the normal attack really does not help you at all, so you can ignore that talent. Let's see some of these artifacts. So far, pretty good Raiden. You got great talents, great weapons. Are we gonna see some great artifacts? Not so far. Oh my goodness. You got a bit of energy recharge on there, I guess. That's an off piece too. Really? This is an off piece? You surely have better electro damage bonus. You could run attack percent on the goblet too. You don't need to force yourself into electro damage bonus with terrible subs. Hat? Again, a lot of flat stats. A lot of flat stats on there. 1 crit damage roll though. That piece is okay. 1 energy recharge, 2 crit rate, but then you got 2 dead stats. 1 crit rate, 1 crit damage, 1 ER. That piece is better than the other pieces we've seen. And that's okay. I mean, it has all good stats, I guess, but it does the job. It does the job. I'll be honest, a lot of pieces are really copium, besides maybe the feather. The feather is pretty nice. This, you can honestly, if you have it, I would switch it out with maybe an attack percent, because Raiden Shogun already gets a lot of electro damage bonus from her passive talent, which calculates her energy recharge into a percentage of electro damage bonus. So you can sub this out for attack percent. Your crit ratio is 53.91, not great. You also, keep in mind, get the extra 12% with the catch, so that brings you up to 65.91, which is even more uneven. You definitely need more crit damage. A lot of energy recharge, almost 300%. Okay, yeah, so you'll notice that your attack is low and your energy recharge is really high because you have an energy recharge sands, and then you also have an energy recharge weapon, which is obviously going to give you a ton of ER. If you want to optimize your Raiden more, I'd recommend either running attack percent here to sub out for this, or attack percent here to sub out for this. You can choose between the two. It doesn't matter too much, but I'd recommend getting rid of this piece as soon as possible, because to be honest, you really don't need more energy recharge at this point. You already have almost 300%. So trying to sub out this piece would definitely be my first priority. Overall, a pretty decent Raiden, besides maybe the crit ratio and the low attack. So I'm going to give you a solid 7 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up here, we have a free-to-play player, Remy, and they wanted me to review their Diluc. Level 80 Diluc. What AR are you? 52, so you can take him to level 90 then. 2300 attack, which is a lot of attack. That means you probably have Wolf's Gravestone. Yes, you do. Good stuff. That is his best in slot weapon. Artifacts, you're running 4-piece Crimson Witch. Great choice. Constellation 0, and talents are 7, 8, 7. Obviously, you can take these to 10, 10, 10 if you feel like it. But I guess if you want to do that first, you would have to, take him to that level 90. You already have him ascended though, so you're in the right step. Just if you want to, you can level him up. You don't need to. This is probably like a last priority thing, but For getting the perfect Diluc, 90 out of 90 would be preferred. Still, good talents though. Let's check some of these artifacts. Not terrible. I guess you got a bit of crit rate on there, a little bit of EM. The HP doesn't help too much, but all around it's not a terrible piece, I guess. It's a little cope. For being on set, it isn't terrible, but you got to keep in mind between these two pieces, you have 19 crit rate, no crit damage. So that means you have to be running crit damage mask. You are running a crit damage hat with 21% energy recharge, 7 crit rate. Energy recharge really doesn't help Diluc remotely, considering his burst has 40 energy cost. You really don't need this energy recharge, but the crit rate is nice, I guess. That's a really good flower. You got 4 good stats on there. Again, energy recharge doesn't help him tremendously, but it's not a bad stat either, I guess. You got 2 big crit damage rolls, no crit rate rolls, and 2 energy recharge, which, you know, the rolls weren't good, but the initial stats were good. And this feather, it reaches 30 crit value, so it's okay, even though it has 2 dead stats, I guess. Not overall, not great artifacts. They sit somewhere in the middle. Like, they're not terrible, they're not great. What's the ratio? 64, 144. Yeah, not the greatest in the world, but it's also not bad either. Like, at least it splits even. I know Diluc ascends with crit rate, so that's probably going to help a little bit. Overall, though, I do see some improvements you can make in these artifacts. Eventually, the luck will come around, and hopefully, for your sake, you get some better artifacts. The best piece I'd say in this bunch is definitely this piece. The flower is really nice. You got 4 good stats on there. It's just the stat distribution was a little bit weird. Overall, though, pretty good Diluc. All things aside, like, you still split even. You have a high attack. You have his best in slot weapon. You have good talents. So I'm going to give this Diluc a solid 8 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up here, we have I Need 5 stars, and they want me to review their Nilou. Level 80 Nilou, not level 90 yet. Level 90 is actually slightly more important on Nilou than it is for other characters. I know when you ascend her, you get that big HP increase, which can actually help her with her skill to increase the HP scaling with it, which is very nice. You also happen to have 230 EM on her, which is pretty good as well. Do you have her best in slot weapon? No, you have Iron Sting. Interesting. Level 70 Iron Sting. Not what I expected. I guess you're probably going for a Bloom team then, I imagine, with her. You have 2-piece Heart of Depth, 2-piece Tenacity. That's fine. Not her best set, but also not her worst set. Constellation 0. And talents are 2, 8, 7. Pretty good talents. I guess if you only have her level 80, this is the max you could take her talents to anyways. More optimally, though, you probably want to take her to level 90, as that is going to help her a lot. And then you can also take these talents to 10, 10. Obviously, prioritizing the skill above the burst. Let's check out some of these artifacts. What are we running her with? Any crit stats probably aren't going to help her as much. You just want straight HP with her. Maybe a little bit of EM on there for Bloom. This is a good piece, actually. 17 energy recharge, 56 EM. Forgot to mention energy recharge, also a great stat on her. Getting that burst back on cooldown if you are using it in rotation. Pretty good piece right here. The feather. Again, more of a crit-oriented piece, which you don't really want on Nilou. I'd recommend trying to get something with more HP percent, more energy recharge, stats like that, rather than crit rate, crit damage. Obviously, it will help her damage output, but that's not necessary for Nilou, considering she's a support unit. This is a pretty good piece. HP percent, 19 energy recharge, 33 base attack. Not terrible. I like the energy recharge. The goblet. Oh, you went Hydro damage bonus goblet. Okay. Bit of an odd choice. I kind of expected HP percent here, but I guess, again, this helps Nilou's damage output on her own, but doesn't help increase the buffing. It does have 14% HP, though, so that's pretty good. 21% crit damage. And the hat, you're running crit rate, crit damage hat. Okay, so you care a little bit about Nilou's damage output then, from what I see from this, which is okay, but just for the most optimal Nilou build, you would want to try to get just as much HP as humanly possible. Man, I've seen builds with like 50k HP, and then it just does like insane buffs for your team. Let's check the stats. So crit Nilou is going to have 42-106. For crit build, it's not great. 136 energy recharge. Might need a little more for that. Personally, on my Nilou, I use Favonius Sword, which gives me a lot of energy recharge. Because you're running Iron Sting, it's going to be a little harder to get that burst back on cooldown. Not to mention, you only have it level 70, so you're not going to be doing much damage as is. You do have a fair amount of EM though, which is pretty respectable. Thing is, if you do care about the damage output though, I don't get why this isn't level 90, and your crit rate ratio is not that good. I mean, 42-106 is pretty low, but it's not terrible either. Just maybe like 60-120 would just be a bit better for a support unit. You can never get support units to like 100, 200 or something crazy like that. Overall though, not a terrible Nilou. You got a decent weapon on her, low level, but it's decent. Artifacts all around okay, not great, not bad. Talents are sitting in a good spot for level 80. And then the level, not all the way there yet, but I'm sure you're getting there. I'm going to give this Nilou a solid 7 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up here we have ETI Shia is what we're going to say. And they want me to review their Yelan. Level 90 Yelan. 43k HP is pretty insane. Only 1k attack though. What's the weapon, Aqua? Sharpshooter's Oath. What? You don't have a Favonius Warbow? There's no way. I guess if you're using Yelan for her charge shots, like only her charge shots, I guess this would be good. Well, the artifacts, just a 2-piece emblem. That's it, just 2-piece emblem. Constellation 0. Talents are 10, 10, 10. Oh my gosh. You have 10, 10, 10 talents, and then a Sharpshooter's Oath. Oh, this is gonna be weird. This is gonna be a weird build. That makes me think that you probably are using her charge shot in rotation, which is not the most optimal thing, but if you're putting this much into it, I guess it would do a lot of damage. The set bonus is a bit weird. I mean, only 2-piece emblem. Maybe you're prioritizing stats over set bonuses. We'll see. That's pretty nuts, actually. That's a really nuts piece. Oh my gosh. That almost reaches 50 crit value. That is a really nice piece. Not to mention, you also have like the 2 extra best stats for her being flat HP and energy recharge. Yeah, this piece is nuts. The hat, yeah, a really nuts piece for her as well. You got 10% HP, 10% crit rate. Not a bad piece at all. Again, another pretty damn good piece for her. You got HP, you got crit damage, you got attack, you got energy recharge. I mean, what else could you possibly ask for? Maybe crit rate instead of attack there would be a little bit better, and the crit damage rolls were a little low, but overall, not a bad piece at all. That's a lot of HP. Another perfect stat piece, man. You have like no wasted stats on any of these pieces, except for maybe this piece with the flat defense. 5% crit rate, 7% crit damage, a lot of attack, more attack that you'd probably like to see, honestly. And then the crit rate rolls were a little low. This piece can definitely be improved. It's not great, but you know what? It does the job. And the sands. Yeah, really good sands. Really, really good sands. Another perfect, almost perfect piece with 19 crit damage, 6 crit rate. Really good pieces here. What's the split? 62-16. I can't believe you have that with Sharpshooter's Oath. Well, actually, it has crit damage substat. I didn't realize that. 60-16 is pretty good. Crit rate might be a tad low, but it's not bad. 135 energy recharge, pretty good. No hydro damage bonus because you decided to go HP percent instead. That is fine. Obviously, that's still going to help Yelan. I don't know the exact difference between Hydro and HP, but, you know, the substats on this one are pretty nutty, so I'm going to say this is good. Overall, I mean, the talents are perfect. The artifacts are near perfect. In terms of substats alone, the stat distribution, though, is a little wacky on this piece and this piece. But overall, they're all good artifacts. The only thing that's a little weird is this weapon. I cannot recommend a 3-star weapon. I don't know where it stands on the best to worst weapon for Yelan. Maybe it's better for like her DPS alone. But I think Favonius Warbow is just an overall better weapon for sub DPS Yelan. So this would almost be perfect. Like probably like a 9 out of 10. But I think because of the weapon, we're going to drop it to a 8.5 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up here we have Haku-san, and they wanted me to review their Xiangling. Xiangling, level 90. Actually, I think that was the only level 90 on the profile, which is pretty interesting. Definitely not who you should prioritize, but you know what? I'm not here to judge. Maybe you're just a big Xiangling fan like myself. I love this character as well. Let's see some of these stats. So we have 1200 attack. Not great, not bad, but you do have 300 EM, which is pretty good. Are you using Wanderers then? No, you're using 4-piece emblem. That's fine. That's great set. Great set. Best in slot. Weapon? Dragon's Bane, great choice. I have a Dragon's Bane on my Xiangling as well. No refinements though, a little unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? It's just any extra Dragon's Banes you get. I'd recommend putting into this weapon, as those refinements can really help increase Xiangling's damage in vaporized team comps. Constellation 1, that's so unfortunate. I really like the Xiangling constellations, and I think they are important for her. But, you know, again, it's a little bit more of a whale thing. You never really want to roll for 4 stars. It's just if you see a 5-star character you want, you're unsure, but then you see Xiangling, I'd recommend rolling, because these constellations can really help her in the long run. Talents are 8, 8, 8. I don't know about the normal attack upgrade unless you're going for the quote-unquote perfect Xiangling. You do have her level 90, so you can take her even farther. I kind of wish you minus 8 here, and then you added 2 to the global attack and the Pyronado. That would really help her damage a lot, but you know what? Decision's already been made. 8 into the normal attack. A little too late now. Let's see the artifacts. 4-piece emblem. Sands. Really good sands. That is a energy recharge piece with 21 crit damage, 7 crit rate. Great piece. Feather. Again, another pretty solid piece. 2 crit rate rolls, 1 crit damage roll. Pretty good. Flower. The 2 defense rolls are a little unfortunate, but you got 1 crit rate, 1 energy recharge. Not a terrible piece. Not the best in the world though. Can definitely be improved. The hat. Ooh, that's a rough piece. Crit rate 31%, and then 700 flat HP. Not great, but the attack percent is pretty nice, I guess. So it's not a complete dead piece. This might be your best one. I don't know. Preferably though, you'd probably want crit damage, energy recharge instead of those other stats. And then I think you have an EM goblet because of this really high EM stat, or maybe that's just because of Dragon's Bane. Let's see. No, okay, so you do have pyro damage bonus. Great choice. The thing is that you have 74 flat attack on this pyro damage bonus cup, which kind of shocks me because your attack is still at only 1200, which is really low. But yeah, I'm sure you know this. Not a great piece. This can most definitely be improved. You got 2 dead stats, which you rolled into one of them 3 separate times. A little unfortunate, but I'm sure this can definitely be improved. You can roll any domain you want, and eventually you will get a better pyro damage bonus cup, which is what we hope for. Let's see the stat. Let's see the crit damage. 59,104, not great, but not terrible either. 190 recharge is pretty nice, and then 46 pyro damage bonus. A very balanced Xiangling. Not absolutely cracked out of her mind, but you know, she'll work in like a majority of team comps with this build and still provide really good support. I think your Xiangling's on a good point, and I think you know what you're doing, so we are going to give you a solid 8.5 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. And our last build for today is coming from Neo Hero, and they want me to review their Kuki Shinobu. I love to see Kuki Shinobu builds. If you are building Kuki Shinobu, you're making a good decision because this is a great character. I imagine you're most definitely running support Shinobu, which is great. You got 38k HP, 400 elemental mastery. That is really good. I imagine you're probably running like Freedom Swarm then? Yes, you are. R1, level 90. This weapon is so good for her. I think this is her best in slot weapon if I'm not mistaken. Artifacts, 4-piece tenacity, great choice. Again, I think that is her best option if you want a good support Shinobu. Constellation 1, little unfortunate. Again, more of a whale thing, so it will not impact your rating. Talents are 4, 10, 5. I think you definitely did the right thing. It's honestly a little sad how terrible the scaling is with her burst, and obviously you don't need level of her normal attack. You definitely made the right choice though, prioritizing her E. For the perfect Shinobu, I guess you would want to max out her burst, get this to level 10, but the thing is the damage scaling on this is so minimal that it almost just doesn't even matter. Let's see the artifacts. I imagine you're probably running HP, EM. It depends on if you're trying to go for a Hyper Bloom, Quicken Shinobu, or if you're going more support based and you want her to do better healing, but I guess we'll see what you're working with. Only plus 18 on the feather. Hey, get that extra stat. What are you doing? 86 EM. That is a really good feather for her. Oh my gosh. Wait, this is almost perfect. 1 HP, 3 EM. Take this to level 20. This could actually be the perfect Shinobu feather. Imagine it rolls HP again. This is a crack piece. Take it to 20. Flower. Not as good as the last piece, but you still got 2 HP rolls, so it's not terrible. The hat. Healing bonus. Okay, so you probably have a more healing-based Shinobu, but your EM's still pretty high, so it's still respectable. You got 61 EM, 9% HP, though. this is still a great piece for her. The goblet, 40 EM, 11, yeah, another really good piece. These are all pieces with quote-unquote perfect stats for her, because keep in mind, you really don't want crit rate, crit damage. I mean, it just doesn't matter when you're running a support Shinobu who is healing and doing different reactions with Dendro. You just don't need it as much. So this is another, I would say, personally perfect piece in terms of stats. Maybe not stat distribution, but stats alone, great piece. And then probably EM Sans. No, HP, interesting. I think you do have EM on every single piece though, and high EM rolls at that, except for this piece is the only piece missing EM. But back to the Sans, really good piece. Maybe a little more crit damage than you'd want, because you don't really have crit on any of your other pieces, so, you know, crit damage, crit rate really don't matter. You really would just want EM, energy recharge, and that's about it. But those are some damn good pieces for Shinobu, man. Like, that's really good. You got 40k HP and 427 elemental mastery. Your split is 1268, but we don't really care about the split. 116 energy recharge, which is a little low, but Kuki Shinobu's burst is pretty garbage anyways, except for maybe for reactions, but the scaling and the damage on it alone is pretty bad. So this is definitely a really good support Shinobu, really solid artifacts, like damn good talents. You got the most important talent upgraded to level 10. Also, if you want to, you can run another EM piece. I think HP may be slightly more optimal, but healing bonus, I mean, you're doing probably enough healing as it is, to be honest. I run physical Shinobu, and I feel like I do enough healing. So I think healing bonus might be a bit of a waste here. I'd recommend going EM or HP instead, but if you really feel like you needed the healing, then fair enough. But at the end of the day, like, this Shinobu is better than I think any support Shinobu I've seen. So I'm going to give this like a 9.3, or we'll say 9.4 out of 10. And with that all wrapped up, that is going to be the end of our video for today. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, please consider leaving a like down below or subscribing. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.